Hi, we're recording live. This is, well, the Voice Ministries, but to be more specific, we're the Outsiders. The Outsiders is a youth group to help against abuse, any kind of abuse, like verbal abuse, sexual abuse, any kind of abuse. I feel that, just because you're different doesn't mean that, as in, if you've been abused, that usually makes you an outcast. I don't think that outcast should be, I don't even think that should be anything. Outcast shouldn't even exist. We're all the same. Like, we're all the same. Like, there's no question about it. And I did make a mistake. We are the Outsiders, but our dance group is Violent Takers. This is my friend Ileana. We're going to be talking about different topics today. Topics as in music, dance, any kind of topic. And if you have any other topic that you would like us to talk about, just comment below. It's funny how you can talk about things on like a stage or like off camera, but once you're on camera you get like a lot of stress. Like you really have no idea what to say sometimes. But yeah, so pretty much. So like personally, what's your favorite kind of music?
For me, I believe that my favorite kind of music is rock and hip hop, but it's also to express my emotions whenever I feel sad, mad, or happy.
See, personally for me it's rock, because there's different kinds of rock. I mean, there's like soft rock, there's metal rock, and I think that because maybe some teenagers, maybe they can't get the same connection with worship. I mean, that's personally my opinion, because maybe rock helps them in grace. Because you gotta think, maybe worship is too soft for them. Maybe they need something that can help express their emotions at the same time. Because they want to get that connection with God, but yet they can't find a way to express themselves at the same time. But then again, some people like hip-hop better. And I think hip-hop is just like a very popular kind of music. I think that it's just something that they're like, oh wow, this is Christian. So whenever they find that out, they're just like, oh wow, maybe I should listen to this. Like, I mean, personally, how do you feel about rap?
Well, for me, like, I listen to rap, but it honestly depends on, like, what kind. So there are a lot of really good kinds, but some of them, not really.
See, and I think as there's different kinds of rock, there's also like different kinds of rap, because there's the kind of rap that has the emotional background, there's the kind of rap that has that, maybe you like that kind of like party hip hop. And now they make like remixes of other songs that are Christian, and I think that's cool too, because it helps attract teenagers that, they're like, oh, the music's really lame, even though it's rap, I just don't understand it. So maybe whenever they transfer that music into something that is like Christian, they're like, oh, okay, this maybe helps me understand a little bit more. Because for this being my favorite song, they just kind of like change the words around. It helps me understand more of what this is. Maybe I think that maybe the reason why most teenagers aren't Christian is because they feel like they are restricted a lot. Like they feel like if you have to be a Christian, if you mess up once, your whole life is over. A friend told me that, when you pray for forgiveness, God forgives you, but it's always hard to forgive yourself. Like, personally, how do you feel about that?
Well, it's always just remember that whatever you did in the past was done already, and you just gotta wait for the future to come so that you can see what comes at you. No matter how hard or how easy it is, you're always gonna take it no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, just for them to forgive themselves, I mean, that's good too, but, I think it's also good to forgive yourself, but to always kind of remember, just so you can look back and be like, I remember whenever I did that. Now it's no problem. You know, and I think it's really a personal thing, because when you're sitting there by yourself, I mean, God already forgave you, but when you forgive yourself, it's kind of personal, because, it takes a lot to forgive yourself, knowing that you did it. So you pretty much disappoint yourself. It's different if you disappoint somebody else, because you're like, okay, well, I can always, help them out afterwards. Like, this isn't a big thing. But for you to disappoint yourself is really big, because, that holds you a lot for the lot. If that makes any sense to you. Like, it holds you back a lot. And, I mean, personally, like, how do you feel about, I don't know how I would put this. How do you feel about, like, have you ever had trouble losing your past life?
Honestly, yes, but, like, because it always haunts me, but it was something that was, it just, like, grew in my life, because I didn't think I would go through it, and, like, it followed me, and I try to forget by hanging out with my friends and family and just having a good time. So that's one of the ways to forget about something that really hurts you a lot.
See, for me personally, I mean, for me, being in like an abusive family whenever I was little, that pressured me a lot, because it's very personal to me, because I would think to myself, I could have did something. I could have did something to prevent that, but you always blame it on your fault, because you think, if you could go back in time and change that, you would, but you can't. So you would have to move on. For me, the only reason why I move on is because I want to be a voice to every other single kid out there that, they just think their whole life is over. I want to be that voice that helps everybody else. And that's why the outsiders are a huge thing for me. Because, I think everyone's an outsider in their own way. Even those big groups. Those big groups of, like, the cheerleaders, the jocks, I think even they're outsiders to other people. Because if you think about it, you have your cliques in school. Like, at your school, like, what are the main cliques?
It's usually based on how you dress. Like, if you dress with, like, what people call these big flags, then you're basically in those color groups. But if you dress, like, in fantasies and all this other stuff, that's how I dress. And, like, usually you're like, pushed outside of the school group. Well, I think that popularity isn't real. It's just something inside someone's head.
See, me personally, I think popularity is just something that people, like, this is my personal opinion. Like, I believe that maybe everyone watching this won't agree with me, but my personal opinion is that popularity is just something that people created just so they can feel not so much of an outsider. And maybe the people that do dress in fantasies, they may be outsiders, but they're happy with themselves. That's all you have to know, is to always be happy with yourself. No matter what happens, always be happy with yourself. And, another topic is prayer. Because, not everyone knows how to pray. But I think that even if it's a short prayer, as long as it has meaning behind it. Like, it can be a 3-word prayer, but as long as it has meaning behind it, you're totally safe. Everyone's different in their own way. And pretty much, that tells me that since everyone's different in their own way, they're going to have different prayers. And different prayers mean different things. And different things, they all mean the same. And they're basically just calling out asking for help. And you know, some of them are thinking, what can I do to improve myself? It's not what you can do to improve yourself, it's just what you can do to be happy with yourself. Because you don't need to improve anything about you. You just have to learn to be happy with yourself. Like, personally, some people think that, you have to pray before dinner, after dinner, before breakfast, before lunch. If you forget, that's alright. Because you still know that, like, personally, how do you feel about prayer?
Well, to me it's, important, but, when you want a prayer before breakfast and dinner and all that, it's okay if you forget, like you said, because you know that He already knows that you're thankful for everything that He's giving you already, so, honestly, I pray before I go to bed, and whenever I'm, going through some really hard times, that you just really need something right there and you can't find it, so you just reach out for things like crazy. But yeah.
I think another topic is churches. And I'm not saying that, churches are bad. I'm not saying the rules are bad. This is just my personal opinion. You have to remember that. This is just what we think is, this is our personal opinion. We're just saying it. If you don't agree, then that's okay. We respect your opinion. But I think that dress code is kind of, I'm not saying, go to church and nothing. I'm just saying, some churches are they're like, oh, okay, you're basically sagging. Can you please get out of the church? That's basically what churches are doing, and they're forcing teens out of, maybe a teen wants to be saved, but since it's pushed out of the church because of the way he or she is dressed, it's just not right. The Bible says, come as you are, and He's not looking at the way you look, He's looking at your heart. And when He looks at your heart, you just want that relationship with Him. And when you have that relationship, all He's doing is looking at your heart. He doesn't care if your jeans are ripped or if you're wearing a band tee. Like, a lot of people double wear Prada. Personally, they're one of my favorite bands, and they're Christian. But, adults or church hears them, and they're like, no, you can't dance to this. You can't get up on our church stage and dance to this. You have to, I believe maybe the band members of Devil Wears Prada, He's not looking at the way they sing, He's looking at their heart. Because, basically they're saying, Lord, this is our way of calling out to you. We're not rapping, we may not have the perfect voice. But maybe screaming out to Him feels like the only way they can get to Him. And that helps a lot of other teens. Personally, what do you usually wear to church?
Well, when I was a little girl, I used to be into the dresses and all, and nowadays I wear, skinny jeans with high tops or a band with a band tee or, a ripped shirt, and just basically my regular clothes that I wear to every day. It doesn't have to be special. I mean, of course, you want to look decent, but that's not really up to everyone else to think of you. You can't just judge someone by what they're wearing. You have to just accept them for who they are. Because if you judge them, then it gets them, it hurts them. And it makes them feel like they're not worth anything, which everyone is, no matter what. You just gotta keep believing that.
Another thing is dance. Because I think dance helps express a lot. For me personally, dance helps me tell my past testimony, how I feel, when I feel that way. Dance helps me express myself, and it helps me tell people a story of what I've been through and what I'm hoping to overcome or what I'm hoping to achieve. And you know, a lot of people like to dance to rock. Me personally, I like to dance to rock. Because you know what? It helps show people that, you know, like I dance ballet.